What's up, Hobby Maniacs? Rob Baer here today on the second best day of the week. This is Hobby Hump Day, and it's a great day to check out some tutorials here on Spiky Bits. I'm bringing you a fresh tutorial on how to set up your project. Like, everybody's like, oh, I got this great idea. I want to do some paint. I want this, and that, but I don't know where to start. Or maybe you start and how you attack the project leads to some disappointment or, perhaps not being able to complete your project. So this is maybe one of our first in our Hobby Basics series on how to, I'm just going to show you how to set up your product, your project using double-sided tape, perhaps some paint stirrers here. These are great. You can get these from Lowe's if you buy gallons of latex paint, or Home Depot, depending on which one you actually prefer or is closest to your house. And using some rattle cans, because sometimes pushing paint through the airbrush, everybody likes these new primers and things like that, airbrush primers, but personally I like just using good old-fashioned rattle cans. The Model Master series from Testers actually stands up pretty good to most ambient weather conditions, whether it's like on the side of just starting to get too humid, or maybe a little bit of rain in the atmosphere or water in the atmosphere, like it just rained or there's rain coming in and you just need to knock some stuff out real quick. So we're going to show you how to set up and prep your projects, using these project aids, we'll call them, and then also how to get a great primer coat down. And there's two different ways to do it depending on if you're doing an airbrush project or if you just you're going to go in there and line everything with your actual paint brushes. So there's two different schools of thought, I feel like, and these two things right here will help set up your project so that you can put it down and pick it back up and have great success with it, and be able to get all the angles and somebody doesn't pick up your stuff and see like, oh, I forgot to primer underneath it, or hey, are you gonna paint that and it's already done, and you're just like kind of embarrassed. Well, first of all, why are you picking my stuff up and looking underneath it, you dick? But that being said, you don't want that disappointment. You want to, when you're done with your project, it's either tabletop quality and you're good with it because you're going to come back and fix it, or you just want to be done with it. Kind of like me, I just want to be done with it, but I take small bites, throughout the day, taking some breaks between writing and, or, just sometimes just days go by at a time before I can get back to something. So I need to be able to pick it up, put it down. And I imagine a lot of you out there that have kids or going to school, you're the same way. You can't get back to it every week. So, just trying to average about an hour a day throughout the week on my projects is kind of where I'm at right now. But, it all adds up over time when we eventually push the stuff out the door. So that's it. We're going to jump right into setting up your project, the Hobby Basics series. So step one of a project is basically trying to figure out how you're going to lay your stuff out in the most efficient manner. One of the best tools you can get is the Scotch indoor mounting tape. It's double-sided sticky tape. You can get it at Walmart. I think it's in the section with the paint tape and stuff like that, and the glues and the sprays and things. A neat hack for this is that you can basically cut it right down the middle here and make basically two strips. So when you're laying out your mans here, you don't waste a lot of space, which is really cool. You can even snip it down even more if you figure out your spacing pretty good, right? And then go up to, if you buy a bunch of latex paint like I have in the past, always get some extra stirrers from like Home Depot or Lowe's. And they got two different sizes, one for the big 5-gallon buckets right here, the super sturdy one, which comes in handy for a lot of projects. It's a little bit wider, kind of depending on what you want to do, or you got the normal 1-gallon stirrers right here that aren't for the bucket. So basically, just grab your X-Acto blade right here and get in here and cut it down super nice. But what's cool about it is there's these little X's, these dotted X's you can kind of see in the Scotch pattern. And if you're very careful, always keep your thumb inside the circle here because you don't want to cut yourself down. If you slip, you can basically just follow these guides and always cut it right down the middle like that, and then it just tears right off super easy. Just kind of peel it, boom, super easy right there. So I'm going to finish laying out the rest of this project here, and then we're going to kind of take a look at the whole thing kind of laid out. So once you get everything taped down,
to all your little sticks and kind of lay everything out for the easiest way to prime it. Like right here, I'm putting it on the edge, so not only can I prime it, but I'll also be able to get in those nooks and crannies with the airbrush and do some glow effects. Then you kind of take stock of the situation, get an idea for how much stuff you have. Got 21 of these bikes, 20 plus, I think it's 20 Lich Guard, a Stalker, so the rest of the bikes, and 9 Destroyers, plus all the riders for the converted jet bikes there. I'm sure you've seen this video by now, like how to convert your tune blades here into like a jet bike. So once I lay all this out, I kind of get an idea for how much space I'm going to need. I'm not going to lay it out on my priming boards quite yet because I want to actually get them outside and then lay them out, because that way you won't drop stuff as you like walk outside. They tend to stick to the boards a little bit better after you prime them, so you don't have to worry about that bringing them back in after they dry off. So today it's a really nice day outside, so I'm definitely want to get out there. It's low wind, really low humidity, and I'll start hitting these guys with some primer out of a rattle can for the first coat. Now when you get ready to go outside, what's really cool is if you keep everything in a project box and nothing sticks out over the top, you can generally stack all your stuff together, and as long as you're carrying it out with 2 hands, you can get it outside usually, in one piece without dropping it everywhere. So that's what we're gonna do as we head on out to the patio. So today we're going to be priming because it's really nice out. Like I said, it's another gorgeous day here in North Carolina, although it will probably thunderstorm later because that's what it does here. We are going to use a rattle can to prime this stuff here. Now I'm using a gunmetal buffing metallizer. This is a model master color, and it's lacquer. But what's cool about this is you can use this almost in any humidity or basically weather conditions. Even if it's raining out, you don't have to worry about it getting fuzzed as long as you kind of maintain a respectable distance away from the miniatures. Now you see here I got all my stuff laid out, and you're like, hey Robbie B, you're gonna ruin all your nice chairs and patio if you prime right over it. And that's what I want to show you guys today, is a better way to prime your miniatures. So we're basically going to pick these up underneath our hand and kind of spin the trays, but not like a basketball where you bounce it out on point. You have to use all of your kind of hands together. It takes a little practice, so you might have to do it a couple times. You might drop your stuff. I did when I first started, but I found it's probably the best way to prime your miniatures, to get a nice 360 3D full prime job on all your miniatures. It takes a little bit longer, but the quality, the result is definitely better. So the very first step is you want to mix up your primer. You want to shake it up, but you also want to rotate it so the ball is going around the bottom here and really getting all those chunks at the bottom that might accumulate, but then back and forth, up and down vigorously, usually for about, I don't know, it's just been recording for about 20 seconds now. Usually I do about 30 seconds or so, just kind of going back and forth between up and down and around the bottom there, just to make sure we get a good mix. You want to make sure that your nozzle here isn't clogged. To clean the nozzle, you can kind of go like that and just let propellant out, and it does a good job. Now you'll notice that these guys are all laid out flat on the bottom here, and that's because we're going to do one coat like this, then we're going to flip it over, and then we're going to put them on their bases like this, and so we get a full 360 coat. And you've seen sometimes people prime stuff and they forget to prime underneath, but we don't want to do that today. We want to get a nice good coat for our airbrush to stick to, because this is our first airbrush coat. This gunmetal buffing metallizer is really close to a black metal airbrush paint that's commonly found out there between Vallejo and GW, so it's easily replicatable, and this takes a lot shorter of a time to do than if you blast it through your airbrush, back and forth. It puts wear and tear on your airbrush. You have to do a whole lot of cleaning. These rattle cans are a great solution as long as you have some pretty decent weather outside like we do right now. So let's get right to it. Now you'll notice that I'm pushing down very, very quickly back and forth on the nozzle here, but I'm also moving my hand horizontally back and forth as well at the same time. I'm about 4 to 6 inches away from the models just to keep it from glopping. And we're just getting a nice, good texture. Now I'm not hosing it down. You can see here the wet spray on the actual palette here itself. It's not doing anything bad. It's a good, nice, brisk pace to work at that's going to yield great results, and you're not going to glop all the stuff down. Don't hold this down and just hose. That never works, and you actually lose a lot of paint going that way. So we're going to let this dry for a few minutes, but by I mean let it dry, I'm literally going to go through the rest of my cycle here, and then once I get to the end, I'll just pick this back up and be ready to go because it'll already be dry by that point. And before we jump to the next position of it, I wanted to show you guys too. We hit it all right here already, but what we do is generally while I'm priming, I'm rotating the palette here as well, right? With my hands underneath it, kind of like a basketball, just like I was saying. I'm not spinning it on the point of one finger, but I'm using all of my fingers in conjunction, and then when I rest it on my wrist right here. So it's a little bit of a coordination kind of thing, but you know, in the long run it pays off because you don't hose down your minis. Now when you got your robots on a stick or your models on a stick like we saw earlier, this is super easy. You don't have to wait for it to dry. You don't have to do your whole 360 hold it thing. You just basically hold it like a sword here and just spray them all down. Super easy. You get all the nooks and crannies right underneath there. You get all the angles. Just make sure you know you're getting there and you're doing true line of sight from your paint can, making sure that you know where all that paint is going, and you're kind of going right down the line. Same principle, you know, not going in streaks, and making sure that you press, you know, gently press down and up on your paint can here. So I'm checking everything's looking good here. I got a nice primer coat, and that one I don't have to come back and redo. So there's always an advantage to have the stuff on the stick as well. All right, we're coming back for another pass. We flipped everything over. You can see here in, you know, some of the lighter areas here that we need to hit. Got a little bit of spray on the tip here, but it doesn't look like it's clogged. I'm just going to give it a quick upside down spray just to make sure, and then just hit it on that corner there, and it's looking even better than it was. So we're just going to do the same thing, just gently depressing as we're going side to side, about 4 to 6 inches away, hitting all the angles. Now there isn't a whole lot left, honestly, because I think most of the stuff got underneath because these models are so dynamic here. So that's pretty much done. Now we're going to give it one more super light pass, just to get the very tops, like the zenithal, like the completely up and down, or I guess that's more of the axial, but because sometimes that's very hard to get. So we're going to come back and do that on our last pass. Alright, so now I've stood all the models up, and normally I would come and I would do that axial pass over top of all these models just to make sure that I got in all the bottoms, because the reason for having them sideways was to get all the underneaths, right? But I'm taking a look at this, and because these are so dynamic and I got all around 360 from the sides here, I feel comfortable with this primer job here. I don't want to get it chunky, and I know that I'm going to do multiple coats with the airbrush as well. So if I was doing this and going back and lining it by hand, I would probably hit it with another coat. But because I'm going to use my airbrush, I know I'm going to do multiple more coats, so I don't want to stack it too badly there. So those are your kind of two schools of thought there, and how you want to prep your miniatures. So since they're out on the patio here, I'm just going to basically leave all this stuff out here for a couple of hours and let it, you know, get all the fumes and everything off of it, and come back out here in a few hours and scoop it all back up, put it in its little stack of boxes, and just start airbrushing it down when I can. And for the very last step, you just basically grab all your stuff off your boards that you let sit out all day, or, you know, for whatever time period you can. If you need to bring them inside, you can throw them in a bathroom, turn the fan on, the exhaust fan on. It won't completely negate all the smelly fumes, but at least you know, it'll get it outdoors and do a little bit of, you know, keeping it completely out of your house, so to speak. But you know, right here I basically have transferred all the stuff over to some new project boxes with bubble wrap inside, because what I'm going to do is, you know, start airbrushing these down and putting them in here, and I don't want the paint jobs to get scratched by, you know, the hard cardboard here. And if you have, you know, if you drink a lot of Monsters, stay up late painting or bogging or whatever, you're probably going to have a lot of these cases sitting around. Or if you buy some G-Dub stuff, you can use the old project boxes here if that's all you have. But I like these because they're a little bit deeper and I can stack them a little easier. And you know, put a big nice sheet of bubble wrap in there and get it all good to go. So that's pretty much how to set up your project and be ready to go for actually getting down to airbrushing. So hopefully that will be the next tutorial series, is how to airbrush or basically how to paint metals, just from the ground up and just work on it. You can apply it to Necrons, you can apply it to tanks, you can apply it to the like the superstructure of a Knight Titan up here, very similar to that Lancer right there. And then you just color panel it out with the blues or whatever you want to do right there. So you can use all of these tools to basically build up and create some sort of project of your own using these baselines.
Spiky bits. Make sure you stay in the trenches. Help keep our channel ad-free by becoming a supporter over on Patreon and also scoring yourself some free miniature swag in the process. Subscribe to this YouTube channel. Check out our site, spikybits.com, for all the hot hobby tutorials, news, rumors on all your favorite hobby topics. And head on over to thelongwar.net. That's the home of the battle reports for exclusive content, early access videos, and more. Become a veteran of the Long War today.